afternoon, Stephanie Peters.
Hi, Aaron Peters.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Do you have any problems finding our location?
No, the directions were perfect.
Yeah. No issues on the interstate? You know, you just never know when you're going to get caught in traffic.
Right. No, everything was fine.
Well, good deal. Good deal.
I brought you a copy of my resume.
Okay. Good. So, you've applied for our female manager job. So, that's in our Temple location. And employs about 15 people there. And so, you've probably done some research on that a little bit yourself. We normally get to kind of start with that basic question of, just tell us about yourself and your interest in this job.
All right. Well, I got my bachelor's science degree from Texas A&M. I have the degree is in agricultural development. The main course I studied in that degree was leadership. My plan was to work towards being a county extension agent, perform an internship, and then at that time there were agents that only stayed in their areas for 6 months, and then they moved on, and I wasn't prepared to move that frequently. We have a small beef cattle operation, purebred and commercial. Also operated a laying farm for Plantation Foods back in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm. And so, what would make you at this point want to change from, looks like L3, so that looks like that's an aircraft industry, into a female type of role? What would make you want to change suddenly like that?
I've always wanted to be part of the feed mill from when Plantation built it back 20 years ago. It was very interesting. I was interested in it at that point. The current feed mill manager that's there is soon to be retiring, and the opportunity wasn't there before, but now it is. So I need to explore it.
Okay. All right. Well, if you were to think about all your different experiences and the different jobs that you've had, what would you say is your one greatest strength that you would bring to this role into our company?
I adapt to change very well. I'm a proponent for change, either technological change, methods, procedures. Had to be open-minded in my current position. Things changed very quickly, and a lot of times without any notification.
Oh, wow.
So it was, you really had to be fluid.
So would you say if you had team members that are resistant to change, that you're able to, get them on board and work through processes?
I work with them to explain all the reason why we would be going through the change, detail it out so they have a full understanding. Talk about the positives. There's always going to be negatives, but those that are harder to I know that I'm going to have trouble with folks that's done it this way for 10 years, 15 years. Explain it to them, work with them at a little slower pace, and they come around.
Okay. What would you say would be the biggest change, whether it be with L3 or the Coke company that you worked for? What would you think would be one of the biggest projects that you've been involved in with change and having to lead through?
Most recently at L3, we changed it to a barcode system for our parts that are removed. Prior to that, we would handwrite all the part numbers on tags. That would have to be handwritten into an Excel spreadsheet and kept up with very manual. We moved towards a barcode label that's pre-printed. The mechanics would not have to write down anything. We wouldn't have to worry about interpreting their handwriting. It took that from about a 3-person operation down to 1 person could basically remove all the parts on an aircraft.
Oh, wow.
And send them to the warehouse.
Well, that's a nice labor reduction and improvement in efficiency of your processes. as you go about learning something new, how do you kind of tackle learning something new and different?
I like to have a full understanding of the position, the job, the process, whatever's being presented. If it's something that I need to teach someone to do, or if I need to learn it myself from them, then certainly that's part of learning.
Finished. All right, and then when it comes to, I'd asked you about your best strengths for the role. What about you? What would you think would be your biggest weakness in coming into this role with our company?
It's been a while since I've been in manufacturing. The liquid processing that we did at Coke compared to what we'd be doing here at the feed mill, different. But I'd be able to adapt to those new processes. Just take a little bit of time.
Okay. Mechanically, I mean, so the mill, lots of different equipment and processes going on through that. Mechanically, are you mechanically inclined
Yes.
to fix and repair things?
Yes, it's something that at home with the equipment that we have, it's not. It needs to continually be maintained to perform the tasks that we need.
Okay. How do you go about when you start working with a new team to build trust within that team?
I like to go and meet each individual that's on the team, find out what they're doing, how long they've worked there, how long they've done that particular job, and learn from them. The most you could read a book and you could go through and do all this research, but if you don't talk to the folks that's actually doing the job and work hand in hand with them, that's gone a long way with the few jobs that I've had in my career, and gone and worked with the people. They know that you care about what they do, and if there's something that you see that they can do different, they're more inclined to listen and possibly make those changes.
So definitely working closely with them.
Mm-hmm.
Great. What do you do when you have a team member that's just not pulling their weight? They're just not going to do their part of what the job needs to be done. How do you work with them on that?
First, I'll find out to make sure that they're not overburdened with. Have I tasked with too much to do? And do we need to break the job down further? If their tasks are within the range of what I feel like that they'll be able to do, by the time I determine that, I'll know, because I will have worked with that individual to know that if I can do this job in X number of time and it's taken them a lot longer, then we will have to look and see what processes we might be able to change, or is it just that individual? If they're what's the word I'm looking for? They lack motivation.
Okay.
They've been doing their job for a long time.
Kind of complacent.
And they're very very complacent at what they're doing. So then I would sit down with that individual and go detail out some things, see what's going on. It might not have anything to do with that's related to work. It could be something outside of work. Not that I could help them with, but I could guide them to folks that could help if they have something going on outside that I can't help with, or things that I might not even need to know.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it, because you just never know what might be causing that, slacking in performance or feeling out, or whether it be, like you say, overworked as it is on the role. Well, that's all for my questions. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I have a few. Back when the mill was originally built, it was built for a lot more capacity and excuse me, future growth. About what is the capacity of the mill now?
Right now, the mill's running about 40% capacity with the way our farms are running. We are looking at various opportunities, and that's something that we really are looking for, a manager that's willing to go out and be creative in how we can fill that mill with more volume. So that's a very good question, and a very, very much an area of opportunity for this position.
Okay. And then I guess just a follow-up question to that, any immediate capital projects that's planned, either upgrading in the existing machinery or?
There are a few projects going on with the different current pieces of equipment within the mill, and then also considering bagging operations or something like that. So there are some capital projects coming up that would be over the next few years.
Okay.
Well, very good. Well, we appreciate your time this afternoon, and so at this point we have a few more people to interview, and then we'll be making our decision, and we'll get back in contact with you.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. It's great to meet you.
All right.